This is Scotland, this northern part of the UK, and it is where the British side of my family lives. Well, except for my dad. He's responsible for me ending up here in Austria. I'm certainly not complaining though. This is why I've actually been to Scotland a couple times already, however, the last time was 2019, which is, 5 years ago already. And that is why this year we decided it is time to return once again. So a couple weeks ago, back in July, we were in Scotland on a relaxing holiday exploring the Scottish countryside. Of course, I brought a couple rolls of film along, and in this video I'm going to take you with me to show you what a week of film photography in Scotland was like. Enjoy.
I left you all along ago, and don't even think I know you.
We landed in Inverness, and from there it's about a 45-minute drive to my granny's place. Basically, we drove out of Inverness to a small town, and then out of that town to a small road, and then onto a smaller road, and then onto whatever you want to call this. Upon arrival, we greeted Timmy, the cat, and Granny of course, and made it just in time for a lovely first sunset.
So dream of me as if I'm a little spark, shooting off of a campfire. Swirling with the smoke and up I go, perhaps towards the night sky.
I really like this shot. I was actually expecting a typical Scottish welcome with clouds and rain, and not this here. I really like the colours and composition of this photo. What a start to the trip. I'm really into photographing people's homes, as you might know, and my granny's place is certainly no exception. I was in love with this winter garden full of plants and tools, so many details to photograph. It wonderfully represents a part of my granny.
Middle of the road, it's just a feeling of a distance.
On this day, we sort of just arrived and took things slowly. Later in the day, however, we did embark on a trip, but just a little one, to see the Rogie Falls, which are hidden away in the forest, which made for a nice hike. I like how this shot turned out. This is my sister standing on a rock, and I really liked the combination of her red trousers with the greenery in the background, which I think turned out pretty good looking in the photograph.
Made me whole again. You came in my life. I wanna see your face. Never will I be the same again. Well, I thought I knew what life was all about. That song had already been sung. I was going on still minding my own business. Never knew that life had just begun.
Later in the day, I decided to embark on a little adventure on my own and explore the fields and forest close by behind my granny's place. As I suppose you figured, she lives on the countryside in a pretty secluded spot, and so there's a lot of nature to explore just beyond the fields. I knew that somewhere here inside this forest there is a river, so that is what I was aiming to find.
Tá friozinho, já sei como é. Sei que o nosso amor aquece quando quer.
And I found it. I have been here before actually, but something I didn't remember is how incredibly beautiful the rock formations here were. This is just some random river behind my granny's home, but when standing in here it felt like finding a natural treasure as a child in a Ghibli film. Of course, I ended up shooting some photos here, if I found a decent composition. I carefully made my way upstream and eventually came to a brighter, more open area where I could hop across the river to the fields of the neighbouring hill. I did some exploration there too, but ended up not going too far because I didn't want to get into any trouble by stepping too deep into other people's fields and sheep. Also, it was getting a little late, and so I returned back home where the highlight of the evening turned out to be a couple of cows that decided to come out of their field and visit the house. But with that resolved, it was the end of the first full day.
So I put those in the kettle this morning.
Oh, here is the leisure center, the one.
I don't know how, but somehow we got so lucky with the weather, which was mild yet summery with some sunshine, which apparently up until our arrival hadn't been the case. On this fine day, we decided to check out the big city. Well, not really, but Inverness can be considered the big city when you are here in this area. With the sun out and the good vibes all around town, I was having a lot of fun walking along the river and photographing some houses and other things that caught my eye. I really like how this one turned out. Even though it was close to midday, I think the lighting here looks very pleasing. Later that day, I also stumbled upon a really beautiful used books shop, where I browsed some books and took a couple photos. I actually ended up buying a nice photo book with historic street photography from Paris. On the next day, it was time for the first bigger excursion. We were going to drive to the west coast to a small town called Ullapool.
From the early warmth of May to the biting cold of late November gray, seems it shifted in the day, but seasons never last anyway.
It was really cool to have my mum drive so that I could just sit in the passenger seat and shoot away anytime I saw something I wanted to capture. I really like how this shot turned out. The clouds were a bit stronger on this day, but just in the right moment they let some sun through to create this beautiful spotlight on the hills in the distance, which looked beautiful, I find.
Wondering if you let me in on the outside of your love, looking in.
In Ullapool, we simply walked around to explore the cute town. On this day, the sun wasn't as keen to come out. In fact, we had some pretty scary looking clouds close by, which are captured in these shots. It looks a bit strange in the photograph because the foreground is actually sunlit, however in the back it looks like the clouds are angry. I also had a lot of fun exploring the harbour, where I could watch the locals busy doing their thing or working. I also got a couple shots here, but sadly I think none of these really turned out that nicely because the lighting was just a bit tough to work with on this day.
Wheels on the ground.
Later came the highlight activity that we had planned. We were going to go on a boat tour to explore the sea and the islands close by, and hopefully, if we get lucky, also see some wildlife such as seals.
Turn off the wheel, cut the power. This lifetime feels like an hour. Touchdown, wheels on the ground. Can only be in one place at a time. Well, I was stuck in Detroit for the night.
The boat ride was pretty cool. It was fun to be on the water and shown around. We did also encounter some wildlife, but I was actually mainly having fun photographing the people who were with us on this boat tour.
Night service cowboy. Looking back, did anyone just fall? Your night service cowboy. Closing down once and for all.
Wheels on the ground.
To every woman in Cincinnati, Philadelphia, if it's still standing, burn it down.
The boat tour took about 2 hours and I thoroughly enjoyed it. After that, however, we had kind of seen everything and the weather was beginning to look a bit rough, and so we decided that was enough for the day, and so we drove back home. On the way, I of course couldn't resist to at least get some shots. This one actually only accidentally has a slow shutter speed, but I really like the result. Then, before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank the continued sponsor of the channel, Squarespace. Squarespace is an easy-to-use all-in-one website platform. I've been using Squarespace for my website for close to 5 years now, and I'm still so happy with it, mainly because it's so easy for someone like me who is certainly not a web developer. I use my Squarespace website as a portfolio where I showcase projects of mine. However, you can build pretty much anything on Squarespace, be it a simple blog or an online shop or a site for bookings if you're a freelancer. They will have what you need. I built my page by starting off with a template, which Squarespace offers a whole lot of, and then customizing the layout and design to my liking. This process has been so well optimized by them thanks to their drag and drop editor called Fluid Engine. I seriously love that they've created this tool that makes the process of being creative while making a website not feel slow or tedious, even though I'm a technical noob when it comes to web design. I really recommend that you try it out for yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, by the way, And then when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/TeoCrawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for continuously supporting my channel and my work here. I really appreciate it.
I'm going back up to make my last stand. I'm gonna dust it off.
On the next day, Millie, my brother and sister, and I, just the kids basically, decided to take Granny's car and drive all the way to the north coast to see what the northern border of Scotland looks like. The goal was to get to a place called Durness. On the way, however, we stopped by at a cute little town called Dornoch. This town was really cute with lots of buildings, and I was having a lot of fun casually shooting some corners and streets here and there.
Heard it so to up and leave this town. Head out west, they say, maybe California. Leave this dead land behind. So on Oklahoma, I think they said farewell to me. Sleep beneath the stars in California.
Seeing as I was the driver this time, I couldn't be the photography-hungry passenger I was before, so the next shot I got was at this place here where we stopped for lunch, which was a really cute place right beside a loch. At this point, we were pretty far up north already, and I was aching to photograph the landscapes which became increasingly emptier of civilization. So here I pulled to the side in a passing place to shoot a bit and then resumed the drive. At this point, we had reached the first bodies of water, but it was still a bit to actually get to the coast, but we were nearly there.
Ich glaube, da will ich nicht baden.
But they could be porpoise.
Silent music and shimmering gold, strangers feeling about to explode. I held my breath to make sure I didn't say something weird. Light as a feather on weekend knees. What on earth did you do to me? I let you
Durness and the north coast were really cool. I enjoyed how the lush green environment of the Scottish north collided with the sandy beach and sea here. Also, there were a lot of people, especially campers, which added a nice atmosphere, one of fun and appreciation. All of us being here for similar reasons, enjoying the views and the air. Of course, I shot a couple photos. I really like this one of a couple cuddling up on the bench as they look out to the sea. The next day was a quiet one. We just stayed at Granny's and I only had a walk planned to further explore the neighbourhood.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Summer love, lonesome dove, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Summer love.
I really like how this shot turned out. The ferns are really pretty and their green colour goes so well with the old tree's brown and orange tones. While the photograph doesn't show much, it emits the atmosphere I really like, one of calmness and relaxation.
I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me.
I walked past a couple houses and explored the farmlands down the road where I met a couple horses. I ended up taking a photograph of this trio.
Memories washed in every shade of green in all the colors. Summer love. Remember the lazy river day canoe, bathing in the turquoise blue.
It was up on this road where I began hearing some noise in the distance where I was heading. I could hear some vehicle and then in some brief moments I could catch a glance of someone riding an ATV. However, if I was hearing correctly, the driver must be children, which I thought would be funny. A couple of kids having fun riding an ATV out here. So I loaded up a fresh roll of film and continued my walk down that way.
That's sure something I could use.
So it turns out the noise I could hear were indeed a big sister and a smaller brother riding an ATV together. As they passed me, I told them that it looks like they're having some great fun and I asked them whether it'd be okay if I take their portrait on the ATV. And that is how this photograph came to be, which I think is pretty cool and a bit funny. Anyway, that concluded this walk of mine and the rest of the day actually. On the next day, it was time again for a little excursion. My uncle came to visit and join us on this one. We just drove out to a place nearby called Glen Strathfarrar, where we'd go on a little hike and enjoy the views.
What's the angle? I'm not playing that game. It's the same business with a different name. Who's the target? Sorry, I'm not in the market. If I quit buying, you can't sell me anything. No thanks, I'll pass. I don't want any of that. I'll just
We all just ants up on a hill. Digging, working.
Our hike started out very easy and increasingly became a bit more challenging as the path became muddier. However, we reached a higher ground where the landscape was quite impressive, and I was having a lot of fun looking for photographs in which I could frame the group as the small humans that we are in these hills. I love this shot that I was able to time quite nicely, I think, just as my sister was hopping from one rock to another to avoid the mud.
Have we forgotten about that rain, that rain, that rain, that rain, she's coming. I was born to learn how to hold the line, and I was born to march from the beginning to the end of my life. And I'll learn to kill, I'll learn to fight, I'll learn to die for another time.
And that was all for that day, another relaxed one. Here's the last shot of that day as we were on our way home and met a couple sheep on the way just passing by. The next morning was a beautiful sunny one, and I think I might have shot some of my favourite photographs on this morning. I just love the look of the sun shining into my granny's home. After having a great start for the day, we did actually have a plan for this one. We, only the kids again, took Granny's car for one more excursion to explore another little town on the west coast, one called Plockton. On the way, however, we passed a beautiful loch and decided to check it out.
Nothing is real, well, nothing but potential steers the wheel. Can you do what you want to do? 'Cause I believe that it's rare. Only badass people do that. First rays of the sun hit the fresh green.
Precisei sair pra poder voltar, ver o tempo bem fechado.
And this is it. We arrived in Plockton. It was a really cute place. A small town right by the sea with a lot of people just hanging out. It seemed very relaxed here. There seemed to be quite a few other tourists apart from us, which made the place feel lively but not crowded. At this time of the day, the tide was low, and so we could walk across to the island. It was here at the island where we encountered this dog that belonged to a family that was having a picnic at the beach. This dog, however, was very keen to burn some energy and play, and so it was just hanging out here hoping for attention, which it got.
Conseguisse falar coisas que alguém vai escutar.
I really like this photograph. Instead of a simple postcard shot of the town, it unites that with some additional action going on in the foreground, which I think is cool.
Que sorriso e uma companhia estão fora dos seus requisitos.
I I also really like this shot because of the composition. It's nicely split in layers, and the subjects are all placed seemingly carefully, with each having their own little space in the composition.
Lembrar de tudo que tem pedido. Preciso ter pouco pra saber quando é demais.
I also really like this one with the dual action going on. The couple sitting on the bench in the foreground versus the two young people on the top of the rock in the background. It just adds a lot of things to look at and tells the story of Plockton on this particular day. Plockton was a really fun place for photography. It was not only pretty, but also had so many people around who were just hanging out and having a good time, adding some life to every scene.
Before you, there was no sun. The light came only from the moon.
Later, we left Plockton and just drove a couple minutes to a close-by beach just to check it out before heading home.
I had no fun. The silence echoed in my room. So close, secure, completely pure.
I had great fun hopping the rocks. This is something I absolutely love to do. I didn't shoot anything else here though, so that concludes the last day.
Now I'm yours.
聞いてもわからないスズメを聞いてもわからないサミー
On the next day, we just had a slow morning and packed up to catch our flight home in the evening. It was great to be back and explore some more parts of Scotland. I'm overall pretty happy with the photography I was able to do. I hope you enjoyed joining me on this one. Before saying goodbye, I would like to thank the lovely people who are supporting me and my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, tutorials or postcards, you can check out my page via the link in the description. Also, I have a print shop in case that is of interest to you, also link in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then,